diving suit?
I got a diving suit.
You have? How did you come by that?
It hung when I was in the South Seas with a friend of mine, Wally Stewart. We were diving for perils. Well, one day he was down below doing the job and I was up on deck with the native boys working the pumps. And suddenly I felt 4 pulls on his lifeline. That means haul me up. I knew there was trouble. So I looked down. See out there's as clear as crystal. And there was Wally fighting for his life with a giant squid. I never hesitated. I dived down and down into the depths, and I plunged my knife between those 2 hideous eyes. My lungs were bursting, a red mist before my eyes. The sea was black with the inky liquid from the squid. I gave the signal, and they quickly pulled Wally up. When we got him on deck, I unscrewed his helmet, and then I realized they pulled him up too quickly. He was dying from the dreaded bends. I cradled him in my arms, and he gazed up at me and said, "Joe, look after my poor old mother. See that she gets all my property." Well, all he had was his diving suit, and it was no use to her, so I gave her 10 bob and kept it. Every time after that, whenever I went down in that diving helmet, I could hear poor Wally's voice crying.
So, we take it you have a diving suit.
Did you look and bar the door to the rock when he come up?
No. Well, it's dope, nothing.
Oh, then, wild horses wouldn't have dragged me down there before dawn.
Why not, Mr. Frazer?
Sit down, son, I'll tell you. It's because of something that happened to my old school friend, Wally Regan. He was keeper of the light on the fair Loch Rock. Wild, lonely, storm-racked cliff it is, I tell ye. And many a tall ship has gone to its cold, watery grave, pounding on those granite boulders. One night, it was just such a night as this, when the wind was wailing mournfully in the rigging.
Mr. Frazer, lighthouses don't have rigging.
This one did. Wally started down the stairs to bring up a new wick for the lamp. Near the bottom, something made him stop. Below in the gloom, you could hear a low, painful moan and a slithering. Something was moving in the dark. Wally started back upstairs. 20 steps up, he stopped and turned. He could see nothing, but the dark was darker, and the moan was moaning louder, and the slithering was coming nearer and nearer and nearer. Wally didn't hesitate. He scrambled up the stairs. Up and up he went, higher and higher, till his lungs were gasping and his heart was thumping out of his body. He daren't stop because he knew that the thing was behind him. At last he reached the top, and with one desperate effort he flung himself into the lamp house and threw himself in the door. Holding his breath, he listened. There it was, unmistakable. The thing was on the other side, trying to get in, trying to get in.
They can't get in! They can't get in!
Please, quiet the baby, and listen.
But if someone would mind opening the door.
Told him Mr. Mannering had put a curse on him.
A curse? How can he put a curse on anybody?
I've seen it done, eh?
When?
Nigh on 50 years ago, when I was trading coral in the South Seas with a friend of mine.
Was that the one that got eaten by a squid?
No, son. It's a different friend. Jethro, his name was. One day, we were anchored off a wee island, about 20 miles west of Samoa. And Jethro told me that he'd heard that there was a ruined temple in the center of the island with a huge idol that had a ruby the size of a duck's egg set in its forehead. She was determined to get it. So as soon as it was dark, we rowed ashore, armed to the teeth, and set off through the jungle to find the temple. After about 2 hours hacking our way through the undergrowth, we came to a clearing. There was the temple, the ruined temple, covered with jungle creepers. The place was deserted. We crept inside, and there it was. A huge idol with a great ruby in its forehead. As the shafts of moonlight struck down through the holes in the roof, it burned like fire. Jethro gave a cry of triumph, jumped up on the idol, and hacked the ruby out of its forehead with his knife. All this time, I could feel eyes, horrible unseen eyes, staring at us. I could stand it no longer. I shouted, "Let's get out!" And we turned to go, and then we saw it. Barring our way in the doorway was the witch doctor. He gave a scream that turned my blood to ice. He shook a bunch of bones in Jethro's face, and he cursed him. After all these years, I can still hear that terrible curse. "Death!" he screamed. "Death! The ruby will bring you death! Death!"
Did the curse come true, Mr. Frazer?
My son is dead. He died. Last year, he was 86. Captain Mannering, did he ever hear the story of the old empty barn?
No.
Would he like to hear the story of the old empty barn?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, it might put us in a good mood before we go to sleep. Pay attention, everybody. Private Frazer is going to tell us the story of the old empty barn. Carry on, Frazer.
Right. Well, the story of the old empty barn. Well, there was nothing in it. Did he ever say there was nothing in it? Oh, for God's sake, don't knife!
You know, Wilson, over the years that I've come to know the members of this platoon, I've grown quite fond of them. But I can't help feeling sometimes that I'm in charge of a bunch of idiots.